Brazil, what are we going to do with you? 25 tarantulas here from Brazil. Okay guys, so welcome back to Eeriearachnids, and welcome back to the Eeriearachnids Worldwide Tarantula Collection Tour. I decided to bypass a couple countries and hit Brazil right now because of all the stuff that's going on. I'll explain a few things that are happening. Not a lot really to really add on to what I did before, but there are a few things. But at least we can go over what tarantulas I have from Brazil and what tarantulas that are from Brazil, but also different countries as well that would not fall under the Brazilian exportation ordeal that's going on right now. So again, 25 tarantulas here. Some of them I have multiples of, like 7 of them are Lasiodora difficile, so that takes us down to 18 right away. 2 Euapulatus crampostratus, 2 Nhandu colloratovillosus, 2 Ephebopus murinus, and I think I might have doubles of a couple more, Tarantula. So let's get going, and we'll just hit them one at a time. Okay guys, so we're going to do this just alphabetically. Just a forewarning, nothing is going to be fed in this video. I have a feeding video that I want to do, so I don't want to feed a bunch of these. There's, like I said, there's 25 tarantulas here, so I don't want to eliminate those out of the feeding video. The feeding video is going to be big. It'll be in multiple parts, probably 3. It'll probably going to be upwards in the neighborhood of 60 to 70, maybe even 75 tarantulas that'll be fed. So we'll try to get, 20-25 per video, and get them as quick as possible. Try to do like 30 or 40-second clips. But anyway, these are the 2 Acanthoscurria geniculatas. This is the first one. I don't remember the name, honest to God. I know I named them both Rio and something else, but I don't remember which one's which. So that's what happens when you start to get old. You can't remember, and you don't actually label them with their names. Anyway, the Brazilian giant white knee. There's also another common name for this, the Brazilian black and white bird eater or something like that. There's a few names that coincide with some of the other things that come from Brazil. So that's why, I tend to use the common or scientific name first, and if I remember to say the common name, then I do. Very, very easy to keep. You could keep one side moist. Neither one of these two seem to enjoy it very much, but it can be done. Both these guys are probably wanting to eat, but they're not going to. Not today. They're going to be fed tomorrow, and then filmed tomorrow. Yeah, we walked away. So that's one. And then the second one is right there. There's the second one. This one here is most likely in pre-molt. I would guess within the next 3 weeks this one will probably molt. I'm really considering moving it out of this enclosure right now into something bigger, because I do feel that it's definitely going to need a bigger home once it molts this time. There's not a doubt in my mind. It's a matter of what I want to do, whether we go to the football display case or we go to a longer die-cast card display case. One of the what are they, like 15 inches long or 12 inches long or whatever they are, bigger ones. So those are 2 Acanthoscurria geniculatas. Okay, now these are the 2 Avicularia species that I own. I don't know what they are, to be honest with you. This one I do believe to be a female. Right now I couldn't tell you if it's morph type 6 or if it's any of the other morph types, or it's just a regular Avicularia. This one again molted not that long ago. These also can be found from what I saw all the way from Costa Rica all the way down through Brazil. I didn't really realize they could be in Costa Rica, Panama, and places like that, but that's what it said. So I'm kind of questioning that. I think these are more, kind of spread across the northern part of South America, but most of them are from Suriname, French Guiana, and then Brazil. Places like Boa Vista in Brazil and places like that. So this is the larger of the 2. Because this one molted last. This is Cybin. I remember these names. This is the one that had 7 legs when I got it, and then this is Cinco here. I have a subscriber that is going to be sending me some AMAC boxes, which is really cool of him, and I hope that this one's going to go into that. I may have to get it out of here for now because I do not like this. He does not like this enclosure. She does not like this enclosure. I can see it. She's generally down below. She doesn't like crawling on there, and she's only done a little bit of webbing here. But Avix, you know, they're pretty self-explanatory. They can be hard to keep as smaller ones. You do need to give them some cross ventilation, but you don't need to go crazy with cross ventilation if you're not misting all the time. If you keep the substrate dry, the odds of having, or the necessity of having a ton of cross ventilation decreases greatly. So if you want to keep them a little bit more moist, the substrate itself, or you know, whatever you're going to spray them to create water on the sides, then definitely make sure that you have some extra cross ventilation. Okay, now this one here is the Bumba cabocla. You are not going to see the tarantula because the tarantula is in pre-molt inside of the skull. This is one of the 5, 6, 7, 8 that I moved the other day. I was going to do a video on those 5 because I did a different type of substrate. As you can see, there's a lot more sand in this one. I wanted to make sure that some of these tarantulas had a little bit more stable dirt, and the sand seems to stabilize the dirt a little bit, plus it also filters water down through. So this one will be ready to molt soon. We'll go over a substrate and outside decor video soon, which will be the next edition of the In the Burrow. I'm working on gathering the right information that I want for that, and a lot of anecdotal information that is just from, of course, my experiences. So Bumba cabocla, the Brazilian redhead. I believe this one is only found in Brazil. Okay, next up is the Dolichothele diamantinensis, the Brazilian blue dwarf beauty. Doesn't have the bluish yet, but it's getting close. I'd say the next molt. This one's going to get rehoused into a baseball cube here in the relatively near future. This was the one sling that I got from my breeding loan I did with Vlad at Viking Inverts. Actually, only 3 of the babies survived, so I let him keep 2 because he did all the work, and I took 1. So pretty excited about this one. I've had 3. All 3 were turned into mature males. I think you guys have probably heard that before. But so yeah, Dolichothele diamantinensis, only found in Brazil. Okay, the next genus up is the Ephebopus genus. So we have the Ephebopus murinus. Now, this is not totally endemic to Brazil. They are also found in French Guiana and in Suriname. So this would not fall under that whole thing that's going on in the United States now with the Lacey Act and what Brazil is presenting. Now, I want to clarify just a couple things in the video, and I'll do that throughout this video. The first thing is that Brazil did not change any laws. It's always been illegal to export tarantulas out of Brazil. That's never been, this whole thing that I said, you know, what we understood that happened, that they said 2.5 months ago, they changed the law. They didn't change the law. It's just that I think they recognize Celedonia in the hobby as a huge commodity, a very, very expensive tarantula and a very, very rare tarantula. And I think just this came to light to them. And I was told to, if you want to look up IBAMA. So it's IBAMA. They are the entity in Brazil that regulates the self-preservation of their resources, the natural resources. So all the laws come through them, and I guess it's one certain person that deals with wildlife. So you can research that a little bit and get a better feel of what's going on. But it's always been illegal to export Brazilian tarantula. So where does that leave us here in the end? We don't know. Okay, so we don't know. So again, Ephebopus murinus, found in 3 different countries. The skeleton leg, we have that one, and we have a bigger one. I believe this one is going to be a female. I don't know the one that's, you could see her down there. I believe that she will be molting in the near future. She's got a nice size abdomen. Generally, these guys are a little skinnier, thinner in the abdomen. So with the size of her width of her abdomen, I'm assuming she's going to be molting. So we're going to spray her down, and we're going to leave her off to the side. And then hopefully she'll give me a good molt this time. Can you guys even see her? Let's bring it down here. There's her beautiful legs right there. She still does have some of that goldish coloring, but it's really, really fading to a white. They tend to have it's like a brighter yellow, not really yellow. I can't even explain it. It's not quite gold, but it's not quite white. You know, it's more of an off color than it is anything. So when they're freshly molted, it actually, to me, it does look yellow, a shade of yellow. But anyway, this one should be molting soon, so hopefully will be a female, and this one definitely will be having an upgrade in enclosure size. Yeah, 100%. One of my favorite genus overall that I keep, and these two have been wonderful. I had no problems with them. I've actually kept them somewhat on the drier side because they are found, again, in different places, and they are found in embankments, dry embankments on off of roads, and dry embankments off, I think, like streams and stuff like that, where they're, you know, elevated a little bit but dig nice holes inside. And these also used to be, Ephebopus also used to be in the Avicularia, or they actually are in the Avicularia order, family, right? Family. But I think at one time they were actually called Avicularia, if I remember correctly. I know the Rufusins was, but I'm pretty sure that these guys were also. So Ephebopus murinus. As you can tell, we're not going to see this tarantula either. This is one of my favorite tarantulas overall. It's the Ephebopus rufusins. They are only found in Brazil, right? Let me look. Yep, no. They're also found in French Guiana. So this is another one that we can actually go ahead and, you know, send out or purchase. There's the tarantula right there, a little guy right there. I hate when my nails are dirty. I was playing with dirt today, so yeah, it's a pet peeve of mine. I hate dirty nails for some odd reason. But anyway, Ephebopus rufusins, the burgundy skeleton leg. This genus up is going to be Grammostola genus, and this is the what we're calling a hobby form, Grammostola grossa, which is probably most likely Grammostola Eeriearachnids, but I don't know. This is what I've been told from South American people, that the grossa is actually the Eeriearachnids, and the Eeriearachnids is something different. What it is, I don't know. But I'm still using the grossa name for now until I get an opportunity to read some of the stuff that they told me where to look, and information that was given to me. Anyway, this little guy here is found in a lot of different places. Not only is it found in Brazil, but it's also found in Uruguay. Let me get my paper here. Paraguay, Uruguay, and Argentina. So it's spread across a lot of area. So this is not anything that is just endemic to Brazil. So this is something that can be sent out right now, not really fall under the Lacey Act. The next two you guys should recognize right off the bat. This is Grammostola pulchra. Okay, now Grammostola pulchra. People are saying that it can also be found in Uruguay. I have not found that information at all. What I do find is that most likely Grammostola pulchra is most likely Grammostola quiregi, Q-U-I-R-O, whatever it is, quirogi, which was actually a Uruguay species. And again, when I get all the information right for these things and I can try and explain it to you better, I don't want to get into it now. Don't panic. Don't change your labels or anything like that. For now, we are Grammostola pulchra. Again, until anything down there gets done with DNA-wise, and then we can actually figure out what everything is, then we will. But again, Grammostola pulchra is only found, as far as I'm concerned, in Brazil. Again, people have said that they will cross the border or are across the border in Uruguay, but I think the mistake there is that the one in Uruguay is actually the quiraga, or Quirgora, or whatever it is. Q-U-I-R-O-G-A, I think, is the actual name. So you could look it up, and you could see the difference. There's a slight difference between a Grammostola pulchra and a Grammostola quirogi. I'm going to call it the Grammostola pierogi, because I really can't say that word very well. Anyway, so yes, these are definitely going to be a very, very watched in the hobby species, because they have been rather popular. No, you don't really want to come out. Yeah, that's what I thought. Feel that? See, if you see that defensive, that's a defensive posture from them. I put my hand there because he was crawling out, or she. Hopefully, this one's a she, and she didn't want to have anything to do with that hot hand, or warm hand. So she kind of crawled back down and she puts her butt in the air, because that, and they walk like that quite often, and that's just a kind of like a hey, leave me alone kind of deal. Not really a defensive posture, but kind of a look at my urticating hair, I'm going to flip them in your face kind of deal. So that's the first Grammostola pulchra. Okay, here's my larger one. This guy is over 3 inches. This is Norman. 99% positive that this is a male, but you can see we're probably closing in on a molt sometime in the next near future. So we will definitely be sure on that one, and we'll get a probably enclosure upgrade depending on how big he gets, or she. If we get, you know, probably 1.5 inches bigger, which I doubt, we'll move it. If it only gets, you know, 1 inch or smaller, bigger, then we're going to leave him in here. But he's very, very calm. Well, I can't say that because I named him Norman for a reason, because he was my most psychotic spider when I first got this one in. Crazy. He would go all over the place, run around, do laps around his enclosure, acted like a Poecilotheria. Just crazy. This last mold, he's calmed down a little bit, so he's actually been rather placid from this point. So that's the Grammostolas, the 3 of them that I have from Brazil, and let's hit the next one's Lasiodora. We got a ton of them. Next up is the Lasiodora difficilis. I think the rest of these that I have are all Brazilian only. I do not believe difficilis, klugi, parahybana, colloratovillosus, carapoensis, or the sazame are found anywhere other than Brazil. So let's see if I can find one that we're actually going to be able to see. There it is right there. So we have 7 of these guys. They've all molted, so they're all 3rd instar now. We're going to leave them in here for one more molt, and then we're going to put them in something bigger. They should be ready to start eating, you know, like maybe pinhead crickets, but I'm still feeding them fruit flies because I don't have pinhead crickets here, and I need my belats to actually breed. There's a whole bunch of eggs in there that I'm going to take out today or tomorrow and incubate those separate, the belats, so that when they hatch, I'll have the little tiny babies already set something different to feed to these guys and some of the other small ones like the Dolichothele diamantinensis. Difficilis. I'm not quite sure what the common name is for that. I think there's gray in there somewhere, isn't there? Something Brazilian, something gray bird eater or something like that. Again, I'm going to be at a loss for those. I really can't tell you for sure. Oops, what the name of them, the common name is. This one here, maybe we'll see it, maybe we won't. This is another one that was rehoused the other day, and sometimes these lids are, this one's very, very tough to get off. You can see my struggles. Okay, so you can see the sling inside the skull. It's pretty much where it's been since I put it in here. So this is Lasiodora klugi. This is the Bahia scarlet bird eater, if I'm right. I don't think difficilis is the Bahia scarlet bird eater. I think this one is. But again, I don't use the common names enough to know them, so, or to associate them. So I'm not 100% positive. I'll try to do a better job, but I was actually putting common names on their enclosures, and I just stopped. It's just too much wording on the enclosures, and I don't like that. So I like the enclosures to be as clean as possible so I can see through them. And when I start getting a bunch of labels on there, that means the higher they get on the substrate, it always seems like the tarantulas will always burrow right behind your label. Okay, so that's the difficilis and the klugi. Let me get down the big parahybana. Here's the Lasiodora parahybana, the salmon pink bird eater, and she does have, you know, those little salmon colored hairs all over her legs now. Still a little brown. She's a good 4.5 inches, maybe 5 tops. Definitely not the largest spider anymore. The male Nhandu colloratovillosus and the female, I think, are the 2 biggest that I have, but she's right there. And of course, my Poecilotheria subfusca, who's all of 6 inches stretched out, maybe even a tad bit bigger. But they're all legs, Poecilotheria. These guys are going to be big, bulky, crazy spiders, and she'll be in the next feeding video. Yeah, she probably eat a house right now. It's been a couple of weeks since I fed her. So Lasiodora parahybana, only found in Brazil, but again, these were legally exported from Brazil, so I don't think there's much that the Lacey Act can do to a species that was legally exported, bred throughout the world. I don't think that they can come back and say, hey, look, those were smuggled out of the country at one point in time. I believe people probably have paperwork stating that fact, or else John never would have made that statement. So that's the 3 Lasiodora species that I own. What I have 7, 8, 9 tarantulas from these, and I have a whole bunch more slings coming from this genus right here, somewhere in the neighborhood of 100. Okay, next up, I think we're going to start using this light here because this one's starting to die. Next up is the Nhandu caripoensis, the Brazilian red. This is definitely my favorite Nhandu species. I mean, I love all the Nhandu species. I don't have a Tripepe. I've never owned a Tripepe, so probably something I'm not going to be able to get anytime in the near future because of the laws, but it's not anything that I really had on my list either. Actually, there's only two tarantulas that are really on my I'd really like to have list. Maybe 3. Which are the Stratogyarus brachycephalus, the Tarantula marinus kagoma, and the Ephebopus euotomen. Those are probably 3 that I really like to have, because the ottoman would complete the Ephebopus 4 for me, and the kagoma is just probably the nicest looking Tarantula marinus that's out there, at least in my opinion anyway. So we'll see her in another video real soon with feeding video. She's just a lovely little creature, definitely a female, only found in Brazil. I was hoping that she would stay out, but she's rather skittish. This is the female Nhandu colloratovillosus. Again, she's all of 5.5, 6 inches. We need to do a water fill up for her. She's breedable, and I have the male that's now mature. Do I breed them and hope that this stuff goes away, or do I breed them and get stuck with a whole bunch of them that I can't send the other half to the person that sent me the male? That's a real problem. I'm going to have to discuss this with her and figure something out. She's in Colorado, so it's not even like I can put them in a car and drive them there. What we need to figure out is are we going to be able to ship these across state lines if we don't sell them? Again, if we're breeding them and then doing breeding loans, I'm not selling them to her. She is just getting her half of the breeding loan itself. So she just doesn't like to stay out for us, this Nhandu colloratovillosus. But she will definitely be in the next feeding video, so you'll be able to see her there, hopefully. Okay, so next up, we can't see him either. He scooted into his hide. This is the mature male Nhandu colloratovillosus. Now, these are the Brazilian black and whites, by the way, which is also a common name that is used for the Acanthoscurria geniculata and the Acanthoscurria brocklehursti. So this is where we get sometimes of those confusions of that. I'm sorry you can't see him in there. He was sitting on his web mat that he made for breeding. I do not believe he's sperm webbed yet. He hasn't even been fed since he molted. So he will definitely be in the feeding video with his first feed after molt. So that should be exciting. So again, Nhandu colloratovillosus, the Brazilian black and white mature male, hiding in there. Maybe I have access to a flashlight handy. We might be able to catch a glimpse of him. There he is, right there. Stretched out, he is longer than those wood. I think those pieces of wood are at least 4.5 inches. So I would say he's got to be. Again, it's so hard to tell. I mean, you're guessing. So I'm going to say in the neighborhood of 5.5 to 6 inches is his length. Not as leggy as I expected him to be, and still very, very bulky as far as a mature male is concerned. Very, very bulky. You can see how big his abdomen is still, and he hasn't eaten. So, yeah. So we got to figure out what we're going to do as far as breeding with these two are concerned. Okay, folks, so the last two we're not going to see. It's just that pretty simple. Tarantula Brazilian blues. They have kind of wandered out of their enclosure or out of their homes. This one's underneath this big, huge log. I really hate this log, but the spider loves it, so I'm not moving it. On the left and then on the right, that's a nice aquarium skull with a big rock behind it. It's got a big, huge area for that little gal to hang out in. I do believe both of these to be females. I hope you guys enjoyed the video prior to this one. Again, it was just another commentary and some thoughts. Again, they were just things that I've been thinking about the last few days, and I hope you guys understand that, and I hope it's well received. And I hope you guys enjoyed this Brazilian tour. And again, the reason I did is because of all the stuff that's going on right now. But I want to say again, thank you. The last video has done tremendously well. I've had a lot of good conversations stem out of that. It's been shared a lot of different places: Arachna boards, Tarantula Gossip, Tarantula Community. I don't know if it made it to Tarantula Keepers. I don't know of any of the other boards, if that video has been shared other places. But it's been one of my better videos, and I think, you know, it was just because I did it first, really. You know, I think if somebody else would have done it first, mine probably wouldn't have been as popular as it is. And I think if other keepers did something similar to this, or other YouTube people did something similar to this, like especially like Tom Moran, or maybe even the Deadly Tarantula Girl, that would reach a whole lot more people. So again, thank you. And then you guys know the routine: bell, like, share, subscribe if you haven't, and happy keeping.